You're out. Okay, you lose your point. Simon says, touch your finger. Okay, wow. Simon says, touch your palm. Okay, then touch your nose. Touch your nose. Okay, no one reacted. Yeah, everyone got point. That's awesome. Okay, okay. Anyone of you have ever experienced worst in your life? Can open your mic and tell us about his experience. Anyone of you? Anyone? No one. But I have a lot of bad experiences in my life. Okay. Then we should wait for our speaker. Then we will start.
Am I audible, everyone?
Yes, you are.
Okay, thank you. Welcome, everyone, to the Grand CB Fest 2025, the biggest annual online capacity building event of MSA Pakistan. I am Laiba.
ये कितना का दे रहा है? ये अच्छा है ना?
ये डिजाइन आपके सामने कौन सा
ये अच्छा लग रहा है, इसको कम करो तो बहुत ऊपर से।
60 नहीं 22 साइज लगा है कितने लगा
I request the host to please mute unnecessary people. We're not the host, neither CB team. Thank you.
कितने लेना है
Kindly mute your mics.
Ana aslında işte kere damın işte bir practical damın çıkacak. Bas kesin. भाई फ्रॉक के दामन के सारे लगाना है कितना
सब मेरा तो मुझे बड़ा होता है
नहीं चुनता वाला
एयरलाइन जो है तो तीर का तीर कितना का होगा
3 गज का कपड़ा
3 गज का फ्लेयर होगा ठीक है और बाजू भी लगनी है 3 4 गज होगी और इसके अलावा कहाँ पे लगनी है
बस से
4 गज
बस 4 गज भी ना 4 गज
Kindly mute your mics, please.
6
Fatma
गज
Nasir.
से
फ्लेयर अगर आपका 3 गज का है ना तो फिर तो उसी में मैं आपको दिखाता हूँ
टोटल 6 गज के पास है
कितना घेरा हो
Sorry for the inconvenience, everyone. Okay, so welcome everyone to the Grand CB Fest 2025, the biggest online capacity building event of MSA Pakistan. I am Laiba, the president of Lurlai Medical College from the Balochistan region, your host for today's session. Join us for the next 2.5 hours, inshallah, for a powerhouse lineup, speakers divided into 4 sessions. The first speaker for today is we are going to start with the PR team. Let's start with Amal Naeem, a seasoned PRC leader and former NMO president of LEMSIC Lebanon, bringing a blend of healthcare communication and digital health innovation. Alongside Amal, we have Vincent, a current PRC Asia General Buddy of IFMSA 2025, representing the fresh regional insights in creativity and PR. Let's welcome Amal and Vincent. Thank you.
Thank you for having us. I guess, Vincent, are you ready?
Yep, I think let's go with it. I'm audible, right? Okay. Hi again, everyone. I'm Vincent. I'll be starting with some basic questions. Basically, since I'll be covering both about CB and PRC in a way. So yeah, I'll explain how this works. Okay, so I'll start with the first question. So what is CB? What do you guys think? What is CB? Can you guys type on the chat box? What do you guys think? What is CB? Or if someone wants to unmute yourself, you can. So what do you guys think? What is CB? Anyone? If anyone else, what is CB? Okay, if not, let's go to the next slide. Can you go to the next slides? Okay, so CB basically stands for capacity building. And capacity building itself is one thing that is needed in an organization, which we will get to in a few moments. Can you go to the next slide again, Emma? So what is CB? In many organizations, CB, yes, okay, it's capacity building. So CB itself is an intervention that strengthens an organization's ability to fulfill its missions by management, strong governance, persistence, dedications to achieving results. So basically, if we're talking about organizations, what's we needed inside is capacity building, how we engage with each of the members, how we capacitate them, how we educate them, how we sustain the base of an organization is by doing capacity building inside of it. And can you go to the next slide again, Amma? So now, how do we do the CB? How do we do capacity buildings? Do any of you guys want to guess what can we do to capacitate members? Yes, do you guys want to, can you guys type in the chat box for this thing? What can we do to capacitate members? You guys think of methods? Like what kind of methods that we can do to capacitate members? Like what we can do to engage with members, what things that we do to engage with people, like how we can train people. What can we do? Like I'll spill one of them. It will be something that we learn skills, yes. Training programs, yes. So like one of it will be like discussions or like this one of them doing I'm just doing like what I'm doing with you guys. I'm trying to brainstorm with you guys, find some ideas. So can you go to the next slide, Samuel? Activities, yes, that can be it as well. So here's like some of the methods and more, which is what you guys said is also correct. So things that we can do to engage some of the methods that we usually do in FMSA, there is like discussions or like energizer. Okay, that is a typo. Energizer, like the thing that you do before the sessions. And then also like discussions where we discuss, there's brainstorming where I'm asking you guys to think, what do you guys think of the answer? And there's like discussion itself, there's a lot of ways to discuss. There's affinity, like a map, you post it, your ideas there. There's like asynchronous voice, and there's a lot of way to discuss. And like also for brainstorming, there's a lot of way to brainstorm. There's like the idea napkin where you put basically the type of things that you want to brainstorm, like to find the best way, like mind mapping and random input. Like also like if you do like basically SWOT, it's also like kind of brainstorming an idea itself. And then you can also do like storytelling to tell how to make it more fun and engaging for the participants. That also like role playing and a lot more that you guys also have already answered on the chat box. So next, can you go to the next slides? Yeah. Okay, so this is basically four of the CB pillars, like basically the strategy pillars that CB usually own. There's like how animals CB support and development, how we support and develop on the animals itself on the basics level. Like also this also applies to like locals level or like to like some all of the organizations you do basically. And so it also needs a sustainable CB development, how we develop the CB at like basic level, how we train members to so then they can do some activities itself, how they start, how they do, and then also regarding that also like need the standardizations of what you do at the basic levels, and also what will be important for CVs is how we engage with members, how we communicate, which is why if we're doing all of the CVs is part of like initial how we do it inside, which after that it will develop to how we do it outside, which will be covered by Amal. Amal, can you go to the next slides? And yes, if we're CB is part of the how we do it internally, and PRC will be what we do externally. Okay, Amal,
Thank you so much. Okay, so in this part, we'll be discovering more about PRC and the VPPRC, but indirectly, the VPPRC work. So basically, regarding PRC, I'm not going to go like to discuss definitions because like basically definitions are available online. So I'm trying to I try to make this session more toward the practical work. Okay, so basically I'm not going to list this, but what are we trying to do as PRC people? What are we trying to do as PRC division? Basically, we are creating an image for public in front, or a public image in front of different like people. First of all, we have our NMO members, we have community and public, we have externals, partners, sponsors, media, and we have, of course, IFMSA and NMOs, because sometimes, for example, we are trying to get membership, or maybe we are trying to get some competitions and so on. Then like why are we like focusing on PRC as medical students? It's sometimes like maybe some people will find it as waste of time because we have like a huge curriculum to focus on, but actually 6 years without advocacy and awareness are the waste of time. We have work to do as medical students because we are the people in community that are really trusted by nature. Just because you are a medical student, you have certain you have certain level of like trust in the community. So you have to take this into account and take this advantage and privilege to voice up. Also, as let's think as an NMO, we need also recruitment. We need to address people, new medical students to join us, and we want also to create partnerships with externals and sponsors. Now, like this funnel to advocacy, basically it's actually marketing funnel. But here I'm using it just to tell you that without awareness, and here we mean awareness of the brand or awareness of the NMO, you can't do advocacy. You have multiple level of work until you reach a point where you can speak and advocate for something. You need to start by creating awareness by defining who you are, like what is this NMO, what are the people in this NMO, what are the members of this NMO, what are the mission, vision, and values of this NMO. And here people will consider collaborating with you or joining you, and then you will be able to convert them and convert their thinking process and gain their loyalty until you can actually do advocacy work. And this is the work of PRC. We have to be present on all of these levels. We need basically digital presence to be able to create this kind of awareness, reaching the ability to advocate for like our topics. I hope this is clear till now. Please let me know if you have questions, like randomly drop your questions in the chat or just open your mic. Okay, so as I have mentioned already, we are trying to build a brand, which means we are trying to understand mission and vision and values that we're going to promote. Okay, every NMO has its personality. Image should be reflected through items we are posting, the images we use, the colors we use, everything is reflective. Okay. For example, let me check the chat for a second. Okay. For example, basically we share some key characteristics as animals in IFMSA. We have youthful. We are youthful. We have this tendency to be modern, and we need to be accessible. Like we call for inclusivity, we call for equal rights of people, and so on. So we can't be double standard. We have to be accessible. And in PRC, the image itself has certain characteristics, or the post or the posters, certain characteristics that make it accessible or not. The video, for example, it can be accessible for auditory, for example, aspect by writing the captions. Okay, so we have to consider being accessible because we call for human rights. Okay, and this is like one tip in order to build this brand better, build this brand or the image we are speaking about, is to define our target audience. And as I mentioned before, they are mainly for target groups. Okay, we have the animals members, we have externals and partners, we have IFMSA and its animals, and what else? Do anyone remember the fourth group? NMOs and IFMSA, partners, and NMO members. What else? Any guesses? I'm waiting for answer. Yalla, guys. I'm waiting for your answers. It's very important. The last one is very important. It's when we do the impact, the actual impact we search for, or we are trying to have. It is addressing the public, the community we are part of. Okay? Okay, now we have something or a concept in PRC, which is very important. And if you heard about brand manual, it's basically this, what we are talking about. Brand manual contains two things. First, mission, vision, and values that are reflected through corporate identity. Corporate identity are basic things we decide upon to confirm or to maintain consistency between years, because we have different teams working, and we have, like, for example, we finish at certain point and a new team start working for this animal. So in order to be kind of consistent in our image, we specify certain things like logo and its correct uses, main fonts, main color palette, and we create certain templates, for example, for social media posts, for publications, press releases. We decide on these things, and this is what makes corporate identity. Okay? Then, yes. Okay, I think it was by mistake. Regarding platform mapping and strategy, and here I'm speaking about this because it has two impacts or two let's say consequences on PRC team. The first thing, by doing a platform mapping, which means understanding each platform available, social media platform, like Facebook, Twitter, or X, LinkedIn, and so on, understanding the population there, and understanding how to address the target audience on this certain platform will make us be able to decide, first of all, what platform we want to be on. Like we can decide not to be on TikTok, for example, because we don't have the capacity, we don't have enough members that will be following us there, for example. So it will be waste of time and of human power to open this platform and not having any impact. I'm taking TikTok, although it's not a correct example in this case, but you know what I mean. Like we have certain characteristics and certain, for example, let's take YouTube as an example. Uh, YouTube needs a good quality camera, needs certain qualities that are demanding on NMO. Not all NMO are able to open YouTube, for example. So, and at the same time, I know that in my country, maybe it's banned, for example. So why should I work on this platform? Okay. And at the same time, for me at least, one of the ways to decide what are the positions needed in PIC team is to know where I want to be present. If I'm going to be present on YouTube, of course I'll have to have a video editor, for example, in my team. If I'm going to be present on Instagram and with the real thing, I still need to have a video editor, but maybe different level. Okay. So I can, by understanding what platform I want to be present on, to create my team, basically. And here, after mentioning the platforms, I wanted to address one thing regarding promotion. And again, it's more about promotion in the sense of marketing, but we are marketing health, basically. So we can borrow this concept as well as NMOs and as organizations. So basically, regarding this like meta phase, we are currently in the meta phase of promotion, which is connecting real life with the digital presence. So the strategy that we can generally follow while using the platforms can be this kind of combination between real life events and online promotion. How this can be applied, for example, before the events or the campaign we want to create, we start with countdowns, awareness, and so on. During, we have live coverage through opening live, for example, and after through recap posts and thank yous and results highlights. Like this general promotion strategy can be applied basically for everything: delegations, for a campaign, for an event, everything, and it will be very impactful. Okay, very impactful when it comes to reachability, visibility, and understanding of like all, like remember the four people we are addressing, the groups of people. Like this way, you are creating kind of resume or a CV on your platforms for all these people to understand who you are. So here we are creating the kind of awareness that will allow us with time to be able to advocate. Okay. And now, I mentioned previously, in my opinion, or from my experience, a PRC team structure should be based on the needs, based on the task required. Okay. Basically, I recommend also from my experience, because I worked in LAMSIC before having a VPPRC and after having a VPPRC. Having VPPRC as leader is very important to excel the work of PRC team. What does it mean, VPPRC? Like, what's the difference between VPPRC and regular director, for example? VPPRC, so it's vice president. So basically, he's part of, or it's part of the EB, the executive board. So they are part of the decision making of the NMO, and through like this additional ability to be part of the decision making of the NMO, more impact will be given through social media and this strategy we just mentioned the meta phase, which is this connection between real life and social media or platforms. Okay. So I had this examples for the structure. Whenever we have website, we should have technology assistant. Whenever we have social media presence, we need social media assistant. Whenever we have publications like newsletters and so on, we have publications assistant. And this can be decided by VPPRC through the plan of action, the annual working plan we do, like as EB members. Okay. Okay. Now we have this PRC team. What does this this team needs to function properly? First of all, as all teams, a social contract is needed, like when to accept delays, if I want to take a leave, for example, I have an exam or so on, what's the process, what's the main communication, internal communication tools we're going to use. And then we need, of course, task descriptions, a very clear task descriptions, because a person without task description will lead to a dilution effect in a team, and like everyone will depend on another person, the work will be null. And of course, we need follow-up systems, for example, a tracking sheet, a simple tracking sheet. We have this campaign, these are the links, and we and this we are in this status, it's done, it's published, and so on. And of course, approvals. And again, regarding task descriptions, to be more clear, an action plan is needed. The more detailed, the better. And we need, of course, as mentioned in the CB part, we need capacity building in order to maintain or to sustain this team, and to make sure the effort done this year will continue in the next year and next years. Okay. Also, one thing very important that we miss sometimes in regulations regarding PR, public relations, is the crisis communication basics, because it's something that happen urgently, and it's like not very planned, so we forget about it. But it's very important to regulate this, to decide who's going to work on this, from whom to get approvals, and so on. So this is something that should be present in any PRC team. Now to the important part, which is the design elements and design principles. Like, this is just introduction. Of course, after the session, you'll feel you are triggered to know more about everything I mentioned, because it's just introduction to very, very different aspects. But basically, we need to understand that a design, a poster, it's just color theory, fonts, or typography, a certain font having different letter spacing, line spacing. We have something called exclusion zone, which is white space, especially around a logo. We have margins, so this is creating a white space and a poster, which is very important. And we have images that need to be clean and a clear, high resolution. For example, these are items present in our poster. We have texture, we have lines, and everything should have a meaning. Every color should have a meaning in that sense. Then we have design principles. Something I mentioned previously. We need to be accessible because we are medical students and we know the struggles people are facing in everything. Like every person who has certain disability suffering to understand or to be included in communities. So we as medical students have to take role in this. So while designing, we need to think about this. We need to be readable. We need to be organized and attractive. And this is prioritized. This should be prioritized over any aspect of a poster. Okay. What are some of the design principles that cannot be skipped? First of all, the alignment. Everything should be connected in a way or another to make it clear. Farah Rashid, can you mute yourself, please? Okay, so first of all, regarding alignment, and let mix between alignment and proximity. Alignment, it's basically more used when we speak about text and text in like two different text box and so on. Justify or to the right, to the left, to the left, like two different text box to the left of each other and so on. This is very important to make the flow easy to follow, the flow of ideas. Okay, so it create clear uh, clear design, overall design. And same for proximity. Proximity is more used when we speak about photos and elements. Also, they should be like organized in a way or another, allowing them to be visually clear. Okay. S- I think this is enough. And then we have contrast. Contrast can be created through colors, can be created through shapes, can be created through also typography. Like for example, here I have the title like bold, and I have here the text box like thin. So this is a contrast here. For example, here we have white and the different side is like another color. Okay, so basically when we say if you don't have night, you will not notice the light, for example, the dark will help you see the white or the light. So basically, this is what we are trying to create when we do contrast. We are trying to help people understand what to focus on, and at the same time, it will increase the readability because, of course, you have this example when you see something like, for example, very, very light colored over a light colored background, so you will not be able to read it. Okay, so this is what we are speaking about regarding contrast. And then we have hierarchy, which is basically also helping people understand your flow of ideas. Okay. And then I'm going to mention some tools and resources, but like actually only one tool, which is Canva. Why we are like speaking about Canva, it's the most commonly used tool in IFMSA, and it's like animals based on my previous knowledge. So why Canva? Basically, the main thing is the easy group work and collaboration between teams, because we are medical students, so we have very limited time, and when we have big tasks, the best way forward is to divide it into people, and Canva will help in this with the commenting commenting features and so on. And it has pre-made templates, which also good for us as beginners. And then we have the huge library of free photos and images and icons and this kind of suggestions. If you're using, for example, a certain drawing style, it will suggest automatically elements with the same drawing style. So this will elevate your design, okay, overall. Okay, now I just wanted to mention regarding boycott, because I know most of us are trying to boycott things that are supporting Israel currently. So basically, regarding boycott, Canva, yes, it's one of the companies that are mentioned as boycotted tools, but due to its the advantages that we mentioned previously, it can be used smartly, basically, like trying to reduce the use of anything paid and so on will help us يعني reduce the negative impact, okay? Also, something I wanted to mention regarding Canva, basically Canva has some AI assisted features like magic resize. For example, if you have created a post and you want the same design to be on Instagram stories, so you can directly just resize. And we have magic writes, we have background remover, which is very high quality compared to other tools. We have design suggestions, as I mentioned previously. And yes, it's very fast. Okay. Now I can't speak about PRC without mentioning copyrights and ethical use of media. Like, again, this is just an introduction. You have a lot to search about after the session, but like just to cover all these aspects of PRC, I had to mention copyright. Just be aware that even the images we use have certain or different levels of attribution, so we have to use them properly. And whenever we are using photos, including people, it's very important, even in events, to take consent on the photos. And preferably not the general one. Like I know most of us send in the call of events, for example, do you consent having this having you in pictures and so on? Like this is good, but yeah, preferably to get actual consent on the actual post before posting it, especially if it's going to be on social media, like from ethical point of view. Last thing, I guess, yes. It's regarding content planning and evaluation basics. So it's very important, and very neglected, and very over years. Basically, the use of a calendar in order to post things in coordination with the whole NMO, because it's not only my platform, it's a place where everyone has the right to post, okay? And it's very important throughout posting to have evaluation, like to check actually the reach, the engagement, and sometimes to adjust my plan based on these numbers I got. And the thing that's very, very much skipped is the documentation. Documentation is part of, like, its importance is related also to sustainability, like capacity building, because if you have a reference, you can know what to avoid and what to do, what are the trials that have failed, and so on. Like, it helps you understand your audience better. And this is an example on why we should be present impactfully and in a strategic way on social media, or on digital. Yani our digital presence should be strategic, because like the counter play like the counter entity, let's say, in the community, people that are trying to affect people emotions and needs and so on, they are very smart. They are doing their best to like convert things and get more buyers and so on. For example, like when I was preparing the session, I just saw a new campaign by McDonald's in Turkey. Basically, it was speaking about the part-time jobs they offered for people. So because here people are boycotting and they have this sentiment, so they can't just work on the price, for example, anymore. People don't care. They want to pay more in order not to be included in this like um I don't know what to call it, but like just they want to avoid, even if they have to pay more. They know the food is unhealthy, so by now uh, they need to have different strategy. So they worked on the emotional part, and they mentioned social needs, which is part-time jobs in Turkey. So now people will think, oh, if we boycott this like McDonald's, people will lose their part-time job, and we are affecting poor people this way. So imagine, okay, although McDonald's is unhealthy and is boycotted due to their strategies. So now we can like understand why we have to be strong, strategic in our content creation, and value driven in our public image to be able to promote health. Because like we believe that health is not just visiting a doctor whenever you have high fever. It's more than that. It's a lifestyle. So yes, this is our role. I hope it was helpful for you, and if you have any question, please let me know.
Okay, so just a little bit about PRC now.
Yes.
Now that you have learned about what Amma have been teaching about, it's insightful, right? What do you guys think? It's really insightful about PRC, about how everything in public relations can affect the emotions of a buyer, how we can manage, how we can engage with the community, even as a doctors, how we can learn more about it. And there's a lot of way we can learn about like public relations in general. Like one of them, you can search by yourself how you can do it online, find information. Or the another one is by joining a training. Or one of them is like public relation advocacy and communication training, which is offered by FMSA or like by the NMOs. Yes. And yeah, can you go to the next page? So basically, this is one of the workshop that FMSA offers. Can you go to the next page? Which is, yes, the aim of the workshop is basically to create a basic understanding of PRC related topics, develop soft skills, and also like develop preserved knowledge of skills after the events. So basically, if you decided to join one of FMSA PRAC, Public Relation Advocacy and Communication Training Workshop, you will be able to learn more. Basically, what Amakas cover has been like most of the skin of like PRC. But once you join the training, you will get able to learn more in-depth learning about how to do public relations, what is different with it, branding, marketing, like how to do like content creation strategies, and how do you can do it to serve like bigger organizations goals. Basically, how you can learn about like more about brand identity, strategic communications, a lot more about social media. There's a lot of social media, and how do you engage, how do you use social media to its fullest, how to find the best online platform that suits you for each of the content, each of the platform, how to make the best content to engage with people. And also about more about copyright, like data protection, privacy, because as a doctor, we need to keep the safeness of our patients, right? That also applies to PRC, how we can to keep some of the information that we collect to share and everything regarding that. Also like more about communication and more in-depth learning about like some principles. So if you guys scan here, one of the info here, it is actually one of the NS or like more information if you want to know about public relation and communications advocacy training, which is offered by FMSA. This is one of the regulations there, which you guys can check and read about it more. And can you go to the next slides, Amal? The last slides. So yeah, so basically we have here is a website by FMSA. Basically, it is if you open this website, there will be like a lot of things that you can subscribe. Basically, it subscribes to the email server where you'll be get updated to more information about what FMSA to medical students. There is more about capacity building where you can get more capacity building information about TNT, more programs, affairs, PRC, which will be also included about like prac information that is hosted by Southerners. And more of the if you will know more about FMSA and yeah, I know from me, do you have any more? Do you want to add anything about? Okay,
Thank
if there's no more, yeah.
I think you are lagging a bit.
Oh, yeah. Do you want to add anything?
No,
I'm
thank you
basically
so much.
done. Okay, I guess that's all from us. Thank you so much. Or do you guys have any questions, more questions? I think Mo has been answering all the questions on the chat box.
I was trying to answer. I think I answered all of them.
Okay, amazing.
Thank you.
That's all from us.
Thank you, Amal and Vincent, for such insightful words about VPRC as well as for CB. And I would like to mention the point about boycotting, what Amal mentioned, that's so much insightful in spreading about boycotting. Thank you, both of you.
Thank you, and we hope to see you again in like more PRC sessions.
Inshallah.
Thank you.
Okay, now everyone, let's move on to the next session that is about external and finances. Let's welcome you all Teodora Margineno, a two-term IFMSA PRC assistant leading capacity building and digital platforms with impactful strategy. So let's welcome Teodora.
Thank you so much for the invitation and for the lovely introduction. So I'm Teodora, I'm from Romania. Nice to meet all of you. Mainly, I work in PRC and this term capacity building as well. However, I have some experience in external affairs finances locally at my university. Since I work at the Innovation and e-health center that we have, and my task description is PR strategy, external representation, and budget and financing for some workshops that we organize for free for students and residents. And in IFMSA this year, I'll be attending the Youth Pre-WHA in the Global Health Education track, for which I'm really excited. And without further ado, let me share my screen so that we can start talking about external affairs and finances. Okay. Can everyone see it? Let me check the chat as well. Okay, perfect. Fingers crossed that my laptop will work today because it's a bit old and today it almost went into a coma. So let's begin by talking about external affairs. What do you think that it refers to? Have you ever heard this term before? Okay, so you've heard of external affairs, but what do you think it is? Do you have any experience in external affairs by any chance? Feel free to share. You can open your mic as well or text in the chat. Okay, good.
So external affairs, like communicating and interacting with other NMOs and other organizations and collaborating, maybe that's what external affairs is about.
Yeah, that's a really good answer. So, in IFMSA, External Affairs or EA for short, is how we connect with global partners, advocate for young people, and also influence global health policy. That's on an international scale. And some examples would be the delegation to the World Health Assembly, meaning the Global Health Advocacy Track. Maybe you've heard also of the AMEE Student Task Force, or the Commission on Status of Women. Maybe you've seen the posts quite recently, but also External Affairs deals with policy documents. Have you ever heard of those? I think that yesterday or 2 days ago, the call for August meeting policy documents, some small working group was shared. Okay, yeah, I just saw the answer in the chat. Yeah, external affairs also refers to the matters or activities that involve interactions with outside parties. Perfect. So, and a question from my part, do you have policy documents in your NMO? I'm curious since my NMO, FSMR Romania, doesn't have any, and personally, I think that they're really important. Okay, so in short, policy documents are the organization's opinion on certain topics. They're really well researched. They're not just opinion papers, to put it that way. But let's say that you're wondering, does IFMSA care or support open access? Or how about meaningful youth engagement? And you can look up the policy documents on the IFMSA website and read them and see exactly what IFMSA's stance is on certain topics. And other than that, the External Affairs also has capacity building events like the Youth Pre-WHA, which are really important in order to ensure the organization's sustainability and to make sure that the next generation of youth advocates are prepared for what they want to do. I know that I'll be talking about external affairs and finances mostly, but again, I have background in PRC and capacity building, but you'll learn that all of these departments, to put it that way, are connected. And if you do external affairs, you might do a bit of capacity building as well, but you'll discover that PRC is really important for external affairs because you need to be well represented either online or when it comes to external partners. But without the finances part, without funding, without sponsors, we won't really have the money to organize such large event scales. And of course, if we don't have programs, if we don't have activities for our members or done by our members, then we won't really have what to present about ourselves. Okay. Let me ask you, have you ever been part of a delegation? It doesn't need to be an IFMSA one. Maybe something in your NMO in Pakistan. Maybe it was on a local level, on a national level, maybe something like going to the Ministry of Health to advocate for a certain matter. Yeah, of course, part of SCORP. For which event was it and how it was? Do you remember like the steps of the process, like how the meetings went, talking with the coordinator, stuff like this? Okay, medical camp. Nice. And did you also have an advocacy plan? Or okay, yeah, this is a really important topic. So you went to local schools to raise awareness about bullying. Okay. So before going to the schools, what did you do to prepare for that? How did the organizing part go? Did you have an advocacy plan, a PR strategy plan? Did you have handout materials, for example? Did you also contact plan of action? Yeah, that's perfect. Did you also contact local authorities for this in order to have their support? Yes, okay, perfect. And did you also, for permission? Yeah, that too. Did you also have sponsors or a budget plan? Did you have any collaborations with, I don't know, usually when we go to local schools, or we usually have a caravan of sort yeah, collaboration with other colleges. And we usually have collaborations with certain companies that give us either, I don't know, food, drinks, t-shirts, and then we, depending on the agreement, we make some posts for them and try, or sometimes even give free samples to the participants. Okay, perfect. The reason I was asking this is because a delegation and external affairs in general isn't just about the event when you're there physically. It's also about the preparations before the event, trying to organize everything to make sure that everyone is on the same level. They know what they'll be doing, what the topic will be, and then that they're capacitated enough for it. And then, very importantly, even after the event, to keep promoting it. And during the event as well, we'll see. I'll go briefly over a strategy for it. But before that, when we're talking about external affairs, we need to know who our stakeholders are. Because otherwise we don't know who we want to appeal to, or who we want to support our cause. And after we identify our stakeholders, who they are, then we need to ask ourselves, what can they do for us? When can they do it? Because depending on the stakeholder that we're talking about, maybe it's an organization, maybe it's a certain public figure or a politician or a doctor with a social media presence. They could be quite busy, so we need to make these things in advance. And last but not least, how are we related to them? Like, you as a medical students association, you need to have a collaboration with someone in the medical field most of the times. Or if you're advocating for I don't know, sustainability, maybe you could have a stakeholder that has experience in that. Or if you're talking about meaningful youth engagement, you have organizations that are by young people for young people. Or even WHO has a division for has a youth council that has been established recently. The UN also established recently a division for youth affairs, and so on. And after you identify all of these answers, you need to know also what will their priorities be. Because when you want someone to do something for you, most of the times they also want you to do something for them. So, okay, we support your cause. We will help you. We can give you money. We can give you exposure. We can give you, I don't know, free transportation or stuff like this. But what will we gain from this? And so you need to think about what your organization can give that stakeholder as well. So are you familiar with the stakeholder mapping or the power metrics? Have you seen this chart before? Okay, perfect. So basically, when after you identify your stakeholders, you need to also know how interested they are in your cause and how influential they are, because this way it helps you to prioritize your advocacy efforts and also choose a sustainable method for stakeholder engagement. For example, you see that it's like two axes. You have either high and low interest or high and low influence. So if you have a stakeholder that is highly interested in your cause, but also has high influence, then I think that's the best scenario. And in that case, you should actively engage with them. Keep a close eye on them, close contacts with them, make sure to go to events that they organize to try to get opportunities for your members. Another example would be someone that is high interest but low influence. Usually those are the people or maybe organizations that really want to get involved. They can provide you the human resource most of the times, but they don't really have a lot of influence. Like, I was about to spoil it because we have an exercise after that, but you'll see who I'm referring to. Low interest, low influence is usually the general public. Like even as a medical student association, usually you think about your members most of the times, or students at your universities. But when you have campaigns or when you're tackling public health issues, another audience group that you need to take into consideration is the general public. And take into account the fact that misinformation is rampant online and it's really hard to get good quality information out there and for people to notice it and to engage with it. This group needs to be monitored. You need to know what the general public's, in this case, opinion is. You need to see how this opinion can shift or how the general public's interest can shift. For example, like if you have a recent natural disaster, maybe the general public would be interested in sessions or workshops on disaster medicine preparedness. That's just an example. And the last group would be low interest, high influence. In my experience, this group is usually the government. And I had a national project for mental health in which the main stakeholder was the government. And it was a really tough process to get our ideas out there, to even organize that event, to work towards a resolution together, to inform ourselves, to research the topic, and then to actually put a document on the tables of on the table of our prime minister, and then wait like a year for any answer. But I'm glad to say that no, because of our efforts, Romania introduced the National Mental Health Policy Plan for 2024-2029. So even if it's hard to engage with this stakeholder group, it's not impossible. It might take a bit of time, but it's really worth it. Now, here are some of the stakeholders that IFMSA has. Maybe you've seen them, maybe you're a bit familiar with them. And I want us to play a little game. So, is the stakeholder map clear for everyone? Oh, wait. Okay, I'm glad for that. So, we have our stakeholder, the World Health Organization. In which group do you think they would fit, depending on their interest and influence? Is it high, low interest, high, low influence? In which category would you put them? Okay, yes, perfect. So they are high interest and high influence. Why did you choose this? Why do you think that the World Health Organization has a high interest in IFMSA? I mean, high influence, I think it's pretty obvious, but why is the World Health Organization interested in IFMSA? Maybe this is a bit of a hard question because it basically means why would big organizations or other people care about young people and youth problems? But yeah. As you've seen, IFMSA has strong collaboration with WHO, and we have a lot of opportunities because of that. So yeah, I think it's safe to say that they're interested in our work. Good. The next example, what about med students? Where would you put them? Okay, so you would say monitor. And why do you think that? What's your experience with general med students and how willing they are to get involved? And if anyone has any other opinion, feel free to share. Okay, so healthcare, yeah, it's a big part of society. But okay, regarding med students, does everyone agree that they're low interest and no influence? Okay, Faiza said keep satisfied. And yeah, med students have an impactful image. Yeah, I mean, usually people put med students in high regard. They see them as really good people, educated people, people that will help society move forward. Okay, so this can vary from NMO to NMO, from your own personal experience and my personal experience. WHO would not micromanage med students. Okay, I see what you mean. When it comes to med students, you also have different groups. From my experience, you either have the group that is really excited and really wants to do a lot of things and really wants to get involved, a group that you and I are probably part of since we're all here. And you also have the second group that really just focuses on studying and only cares about that and doesn't really care about advocacy or events that your NMO might organize. But when it comes to my students that know about IFMSA and want to get involved, I would put them into high interest, low influence. And what I mean by keeping satisfied, it's a bit of a hard term to define in this case, but you need to take into consideration what they want to do, what they need, and this is something that Amal briefly touched on regarding PR crisis management. You need to know exactly how to keep them satisfied in order to have the human resource necessary for your NMO and for your activities. Otherwise, if you do a mistake and you do not manage it properly, then it can have negative impact on your PR image in the long run. yeah, med students are future health providers, and it's like saving the future by investing in them. Yeah, exactly. That's how I see it as well. So, let me check the time as well. I'm just going to mention it briefly. Again, Amal did a really good job at at covering social media and external event coverage and how it relates and to external affairs. But basically, here is what social media can do for your cause, for your event, for external affairs in general. And really importantly, you need to have a strategy before the event, a strategy for during the event, and the strategy after the event. You'll have a lot of content. It's a great opportunity to increase your engagement and visibility. So don't waste it. If you don't have a plan that's really well thought out and done before the event begins, everything will get lost. You'll have a lot of things to do. As a delegate, it's really hard to keep track of everything. And on top of that, on top of everything that happens at the event and everything you'll learn personally, also try to keep in mind to do social media posts, to do the text for it, and so on. So if you have a really huge event coming up, try to do the templates, the hashtags, the overall plan for what you need to do beforehand when you have more time. So these are just some things that you should focus on. But let's move on to finances. Regarding external affairs, is everything clear? Do you have any questions? Is there anything else you'd like to share with us? Okay, so no further questions, all clear, perfect. So, finances. In general, NGOs or nonprofits need financial sustainability to survive and create impact. Since we don't generate money, we're not like a hospital or a service provider. We don't tax people for what we do, to put it that way. We don't have no, secure source of income most of the times. And if we don't have money, then we cannot do our mission. Okay. So, in order to ensure that your NMO can do the activities that it wants and that your members can get involved in causes that you need to find funding methods for your NMO. And usually this can be grants and donations. You could also do it through fundraising events for a certain cause, or if you have a bigger event, you could get more money during that time and then save some of that money for your NMO for the rest of the year. For example, in my NMO, we have a really huge congress that generates a lot of money. And apart from the cost of the event itself, like, food, drinks, paying the speakers, and so on, they also generate some extra money that helps them during the year. Other than that, during certain events, you could also sell some goods or services. Usually we do charitable events. We have some stands in which students sell products that they handmade. We also had a classmate that did henna for a children's hospital. It was really nice for her. And also, really importantly, you could establish collaborations with external companies or service providers, get sponsorships from them in exchange for advertising most of the times. And again, this can vary depending on your agreement. It can either be a post, a stand, roll-up, banner, stuff like this. But regarding these possible funding methods, which do you think is the most stable one, and which one would you say is the most flexible, to put it that way? But again, the main problem for nonprofits, NGOs, is that we don't have secure source of income all of the time. Which one do you think is the most reliable out of these four? Yeah, sponsorships can be reliable because usually they also imply signing a contract. Okay. Which one would you say that is the most flexible or most adaptable, or I don't know how else to put it, but basically something that, let's say something that can be low effort and high reward, to put it that way. Yeah, donations and grants. Perfect. And fundraising, fundraising is also important, but usually it is high effort and maybe high gain. It depends on the team that you have, but again, the fundraising events are really important. Good. Now, when you're planning a budget, you also need to take into consideration the different categories that it has. As I told you, I work at my University Innovation and eHealth Center, and each year there's a fund that we can access. In order to access that fund, we need to know exactly what we'll need for the whole year, but we need to put all of those needs into categories. For example, we have program or project. Sorry? Okay. So we have program or project goals, things that we need for workshops or campaigns. Think of flip chart, markers, things that might seem cheap, but if you're trying to organize events for a whole year, then the cost can add up. Then we have operational or admin needs, things like licenses for Zoom, things that we need for the website, even Canva or Adobe license can be part of it. And also we need some budget for things that we organize internally for capacity building events for our own volunteers and members in order to train them, but also try to to get them to feel like a team, because you know how universities are. Usually everything feels kind of cold. And if you don't make sure that your members and volunteers feel welcome there, then you might lose them in the long run and you won't have the human resource necessary to do what you want. But most importantly, accountability is key because stakeholders want to know where and why you spend the funds. Again, in my example, after I receive those funds each month, and then at the end of the year, I need to make a report on how I used those funds. Okay, let me check the chats. Sorry, yes. Okay. Another really important part of financing is making sure that it is ethical and sustainable, because money and the way you get the money really can affect your reputation. And because of that, your NMO's values or even your own personal values must guide funding decisions. So, for example, the Youth Health Organization and the WHO. I'm involved in some events, and before participating, you need to sign a form in which you declare that you didn't receive any sponsorship or basically any money from fossil fuels company, tobacco, alcohol, pharma companies, because they are not considered ethical sources of income. You also need to have transparent reporting. That's something that usually it's internal or it's for your own members. And something that's it can be hard to achieve at the beginning, but it's really important for the sustainability of your NMO to avoid dependency on one donor. Because if you only have one donor, a couple of things can happen. They can tell you that in order to receive those donations or those funds, you'll need to do some things for them, some things that you might not agree to, but you won't have any other source of income otherwise. Or the other scenario in which you refuse because of those ethical considerations, they retract their donations and your NMO doesn't have any money. Again, neither situations are favorable, so you need to make sure that you have more donors or sponsors. Now, let's say that someone offered your NMO $10,000, but that someone is a fossil fuel company. What would you do? Would you take it? Let's say that you're in a critical situation, you really need the money. What would you do? And how would you make sure that, okay, something that's really hard to categorize is your own personal values and the values of your NMO. But tell me, what would you do? Okay, so let's do it another way. Quick show of hands, who would take the money? Again, you're in a critical situation, you really need the money. Would anyone take them? Okay, I don't think that anyone raised their hand. So who would refuse the money then? Raise your hand. Okay, so you would just ignore the problem. But what I wanted to highlight is that sometimes it can be hard to make such decisions. And what IFMSA has is something called the Ethical Finance Framework, or EFF, which tells us exactly what sponsors or collaborations we can have. I gave you already some examples, but IFMSA cannot take money from tobacco companies, alcohol companies, and so on. So if someone approaches IFMSA with a sponsorship or collaboration agreements, then depending on how they fit into the ethical finance framework, the EB or TO decides whether or not they will want to collaborate with that company. Okay, so what can you do in order to improve your NMO's finances? If you're part of a project team or organizing committee, you should make sure that you budget responsibly and that you don't waste money on things that are more expensive than they should be, or you shouldn't waste money or on things that aren't necessary. If you're fundraising either for a particular event or overall for your NMO, you need to really know your audience well and to know the restrictions that you might have. Regarding the audience, we'll be circling back to stakeholder mapping. And when it comes to restrictions, you know how it is. Sometimes you have a plan, but you don't have the resources necessary to execute that plan. And if you are approached with a partnership proposition and you're evaluating it, ask yourself, does this align with our mission, with our values, with what we want to do in our NMO and how we want to be represented? So Thank you so much for your attention. I really hope that you like the presentation. Both external affairs and finances can be really difficult topics to handle and to understand. I just did a small introduction for them. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out anytime. Again, I'm the PRC CBDA, but if you have any questions in general for PRC, CB, external affairs, finances, don't hesitate. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, Todra, for such an engaging session for today about finances and as well as for the externals. It was such an engageful and impactful session. Thank you so much. Okay, thank you. And moving on to the next speaker for the night, that is about policy making. So let's welcome Mohammed Kareem. He's an IFMSA Egypt policy assistant and PPRC member with vast experiences in NCDs as well as regional advocacy. So let's welcome Mohammed Kareem.
Hello, everybody. Am I audible to you?
Yes, you're audible.
Hello, this is Muhammad Khan from ICC Egypt. I'm ICC Egypt policy and cities national assistant. Today, I want to uh, into an overview of policy making or a session of policy making one, policy making as a topic. And if you are interested in a field, how can we I hope it is. Yes.
Hello.
Guys, I don't hear you well. Can you repeat if it's visible or not?
Kindly mute your mics, everyone.
Is my screen visible? The slides are visible? Now the screen is visible. Is it shared to you? Guys, do you hear me? Okay, I think it was
We can
visible.
hear you, but we couldn't see the shared screen.
In the chat box, there was Faiza said yes, she could
Yes,
see the
yes.
shared screen.
I, I
Okay,
saw you.
let me reshare it and start the session. So sorry for the technical issues. Okay, like I said, it's like an overview of IFMC policy documents and an introduction for everyone who is interested to participate in such a field in IFMC. So, what is an IFMC policy document? An IFMC policy document describes the position of IFMC on a global health issue that the Federation wants to take a stance on, which should be in line with the IFMC vision and mission and is bound to by its constitution and bylaws. So, if there is any global health issue that IFMC should have a stance on, with or against, with uh, support or like do not support this issue or this topic. So IFMC makes a policy document that describes the position and the stance of it regarding this issue. As we said, the vision and mission of IFMC, let's describe or define the vision and mission. The vision answers the question, what does the organization want to become in the future? The mission answers the question, what does the organization do and why does it exist? What should a policy document be? It should be representing an organization's stance on a particular issue, and it should reflect your values. For example, IFMC can't have a stance with a topic like the tobacco use or the cigarettes or the harmful alcohol consumption or the AMR, antimicrobial resistance. All these are against the health, and we are like a medical students NGO. So the stance of our organization should be against all these topics. Also, it should be evidence-based. Why? Because every single detail mentioned in this policy document should be from a credible resource and all should be 100% true. Also, should align with other legal documents of an organization. As we said, it should be bound by its constitution and by laws. Also, should be relevant, specific, and meaningful. Relevant because we are a medical association or medical students NGO. So it will not make sense that we make a policy about economics, for example. But we can make a policy about a certain health topic and how it can be affected and affect the economics of a certain country, for example. So it should be relevant, specific, and meaningful. This is like a technical point of view for the policies. So if you don't understand certain point in it, you can ask me or you can skip it. It will not give you so much benefit to know these pieces of information. How the policy documents are adopted. The proposal must be co-submitted by two NMOs from different regions or the team of officials. A certain TO member proposed the topic of the policy and then it is proposed. The adoption required two-thirds majority, and policy documents will expire after 3 years. So after these 3 years, we decide if it needs to be renewed or updated, or okay, we just had enough of this topic, so we will not renew this policy, and it will expire, and we will like search into more topics to be proposed to be adopted in a policy. unless otherwise voted by the General Assembly. Policy areas. There are many areas, and they are the same as the areas that IFMC raise awareness in: public health issues, medical education issues, sexual and reproductive health and right issues, human rights, peace issues, medical science and research issues. And these, for example, the public health policy documents. There are antimicrobial resistance for the MM 2024, fossil fuel deficient MM also, rural health, food safety, etc. Where you can find IFMC policy documents and IFMC web page, and you can scan this QR code, or I can send you this link for the policy documents, and you will find all the policy documents adopted by IFMC in all the general assemblies. So, what is the importance and the impact of policy or policy documents in IFMC? External representation is a key area of IFMC. Each year, IFMC contributes to discussions on important health topics to more than 100 high-level conferences, meetings, and events. For example, WHA, which is the World Health Assembly, WHO EB meetings and regional meetings, COP, which is about climate change. So, how to defend the opinion of 1.5 million medical students through policy documents. You draft policy documents, which has your stance against or regarding certain global health issues, and you go to these external meetings or external conferences with these policy documents, highlighting your stance regarding these issues. Okay, how to get involved in such a process in IFMC? You can participate as part of the small working group which draft the policies, or the policy commission which review each policy, or the policy reviewing committee which review all the policies that are adopted in a certain general assembly, for example, MM or AM. Or you can provide input from your NMO or promote the policy drafting in your NMO. For example, I am promoting the process of policy making in your NMO. Okay, there's like a timeline. The policies are adopted either in the MM, the March meeting, or in the AM, the August meeting. So there are two calls for the policies to be proposed and drafted during these two periods. For the MM, the call is open in November. For the AM, is open in May or late April. And this is the drafting phase. Then there is the quality check phase, which consists of the policy commission period and the PRC period. As we said, the policy commission period, the policy commission is the commission which is responsible for reviewing each policy, and each policy has a policy commission consisted of 2 members, while the PRC, they are the policy reviewing committee, which are responsible. Are there any questions? Okay. Which are responsible for reviewing all the policies during a certain general assembly. Okay, you applied. What is the selection? What are the selection criteria? So you're applying to be a member in a certain smoking group and a certain policy topic. So the selection criteria, the first thing is the experience in the topic of the policy document, depending on which smoking group you are applying for. For example, there are public health policy documents like AMR or NCDs. So your experience regarding the topic, the NCDs, the AMR, the HIV, whatever the field that you are applying for, the experience for the topic itself, not for the policy making experience. Then the second criteria is the general experience in policy making related to IFMC policy or any other policy process, an IFMC or non-IFMC policies. However, even if you are applying an IFMC policy document smoking group for the first time, do not hesitate to send in your application. Policy smoking groups should be balanced with experienced and new members to ensure the continuous capacity building. There are spare or vacant places in each smoking group for the new members to be capacitated in each policy call. Motivation to contribute to an FMC policy process, availability, which you should be fully available during this the drafting period, and the gender and regional representation will be highly taken into account. These criteria, I just copied them from a previous email and pasted them. There are just you should have experience in the topic of the policy, and the experience in the policy making itself, it's not an obligation. You can be experienced or not. We all started from some point. So if not, okay, apply, and then you will have these experiences to be considered in the upcoming calls. So sharing is caring. Has anyone participated in any policy document? Uh, if yes, please share your experience. Guys, has anyone participated in any smoking group or policy commission or any part of a policy making in the policy making process? Yes, go ahead, please.
So I haven't yet, and my NMO doesn't have policy documents, but I'm trying to get the EB on board and have some proposals and try to get them to understand the importance of policy documents.
Great, thank you so much. Amal, yes, go ahead, Amal.
Hi, very happy to be here with you. Well, in fact, I participated in various small working groups, especially in IFMC. The last one was in August 2024, and the first one was in March meeting 22. So like the policy documents for March meeting 22, to be honest, was one of the most amazing experiences I've ever got. The first, when I first started, I was a little bit not sure, like if it's something that I would be confident to do, but I received all the support from the coordinators, initiating me and helping me with the process and supporting me until I become confident during that small working group, and I was satisfied with the results. And afterwards, it became like an addiction. Whenever I see a kind of the email of the policy document small working group, I will just run and try to seize that opportunity and also encourage members in my NMO and try to implement policy documents in my NMO. So overall, it was a very nice experience, and I recommend that everyone should try it because you'll learn many things, including like how to search for accurate and evidence-based information, and how to also your writing style will improve very well. So I encourage every one of you to just go for that experience.
Thank you so much, Amal, and I'm so happy to be with you again. Such an experience in policy making. So thank you for your input. So, guys, I just finished my session. If anyone has any questions, please go ahead. Yes, sir.
Thank you, Mohammed Karim, for an engaging and amazing session about policy making. I would like you to be on board for a few seconds and minutes to take a group picture with Amal Hamami, our next speaker, too. Is that possible, Mohammed Karim?
Yes, sure, sure.
Okay, so someone please take a picture with our speakers.
Just a question if we need all to open or just Muhammad will be open and since I
No, we
can't
need to
understand.
open the cameras. Open up the cameras, everyone.
Okay, perfect. Because when I opened, I found myself alone, so I was wondering.
We can just wait for the other speakers to join, just for 2 minutes. I'm just calling Amal and Vincent. Yes, our speakers are complete, and now everybody is having 2 minutes, and then we will take pictures. Guys, please turn on your cameras. Khalil, are you here? Can you please take the picture on laptop?
Yes, Haramapi, I have already taken it and I am taking it again.
Okay. Everyone, please turn on your cameras, and then we will take it. Just we will wait till 10:02. It's 2 minutes. Okay, Khalil, go ahead. One, two, three. Guys, we can make victory time. Yes, please open up the cameras, Pakistan. Thank you so much, everyone, for taking out your precious time. Thank you so much, our lovely speakers, for giving wonderful sessions. And now we are moving on to the next session. Over to you, Daiba. Thank you, everyone. Bye. Moving on to our next session. Daiba, can you please introduce the new speaker?
Yes, sure. So thank you, Mohammed Kareem, once again. And now moving to our next speaker of the night, that is Amal Hamami, TNT trainer, EMR General Assistant 24-25, and veteran facilitator with 250 plus hours of local to international workshops across SRHR, leaderships and organizational development. So once again, welcome on board, Amal Hamami.
Thank you so much for this wonderful introduction. I'm very happy to be here with you, and I can't wait to interact with you all. So, should I start?
Yes, go ahead, Amal.
Okay, perfect. So before we start, and before I start and share my screen, I would like to know who's here with me in the Zoom right now. So if you're here, just do an interaction. You can use the emojis, for example, like this, or write in the chat so we can know that you're here with me. Maybe something like about how you feel right now. So are you excited, bored? Awesome. We're seeing 2 comments. What about the others? Are you here? Are you energized? Okay, awesome. So basically today's session is about activity management. Well, to be honest, like I can't cover everything about activity management in just 30 minutes. It's it's literally insane to do so. But what I'm gonna do is like to give you the basics of activity management so that you can understand the mindset behind it and understand why are we doing such thing in IFMSA and why you also need it. But before we start, let's do a quick game. Well, can you see my screen? Okay, so we'll start with a little game. Please raise your hand if you, for example, participated in an activity before. Like, I do believe all of you did because you're already here, so it would be awesome if you can raise your hand. Okay. Let me, okay, I will just put my, very sorry. And I will be seeing who's raising their hands. Okay, so I'm here. So who's raising a hand? Only one person? Only one person participated in an activity? Come on. Okay, 2 persons. All of you need to raise your hands because you're already participating right now in an activity. I do believe. Okay, 3 persons. What about the others? Okay. Maybe the others are a little bit shy or sleepy, so let's maybe move to the next question. Maybe are you part of an OC before? If you was part of an OC before, please raise your hand. These are easy questions. We have 2 persons. Okay. What about, did you maybe enjoy an activity before? I do believe that you're enjoying this activity right now. Who else? Okay, 2 persons. Oh, amazing. So first time for everything. Yeah, it's okay. Okay, what about this? Maybe have you seen a project fail or felt that something is not working in a project? If you felt like this, maybe you can raise your hand. We have 3 persons. What about the others? It's real. Okay, 2 persons. Never happened to me. Okay, maybe you can imagine a scenario. Okay, thank you all of you for participating in this activity. Why are we doing this? Because all of us, literally all of us, have ever participated in activity. If you never did, you're participating in your first activity right now. And for example, for OCs and for other experiences, if you never did this before, maybe you will do it in the future, and it's something essential in your journey in IFMSA and in your journey in your NMO. And also, if you enjoyed an activity, I do believe all of us have once at least enjoyed an activity, and all of us had that feeling maybe that activity is not working or something is not really working. So all of this, we all went through all of this, and it is essential for us when doing activity management to reflect in all our experiences. Okay, so what is an activity? Basically, an activity is a very kind of a set of a planned intervention. Like it should be planned, so we can't call it an activity if it's not planned. And it also should be well designed and well implemented to achieve a certain specific objectives. So basically in IFMSA, when we're talking about an activity, it should have an objective, it should have an aim, it should have also a vision. So all these terminology, we're going to discover them little by little, but it should be well planned in order for it to achieve its objective. So this is basically what is an activity if it's maybe new for you. And also to give you more hints about types of activities that we have capacity building, and where you're attending a workshop, where maybe delivering or maybe participating in sessions and where everyone are interacting with each other. So this opportunity is a real example of an activity of capacity building. We have also education. Education, basically, when there is one person going to deliver for us a speech or maybe a conference or to give us information, there is little interaction in education type of activities. And basically, it's kind of a panel discussion or where you only have a Q&A at the end. But yeah, this is what we mean by education items. And also we have advocacy. Advocacy when we're having an activity, when you're trying to influence maybe behaviors or change, like you already we want to influence these people in order to go to a certain direction. Through advocacy, we can do, for example, something like when we're doing a campaign. It's a form of advocacy when you campaign, when we're raising awareness about a topic and trying to influence the general population to go in a certain direction. to go more on advocate for that topic in the government, for example. It's mainly related to external affairs, and I do believe that you already had a session about it. And you have also campaign, for example. Yeah, you already everything about PRC, everything that we see in social media about campaign should be well planned to be called campaign. So it should have a name and should have clear objectives, and it should be something that you do and plan very well. So everything is kind of, maybe you will see that even a campaign is a kind of an activity. Also a research, when you're doing a research and we're trying to search for certain evidence or try to answer a specific question and collect data is also kind of an activity. Third party activity, for example, when one of the organizations or partners or anyone just call you to do certain administrative tasks or do certain things and to help them with certain things. This is called a third-party activity. There are multiple types of activities, but the common thing between all of them is that all of them should be well planned, and in order to just prevent project failures. So we're talking about project failures or activity failure. So now our part is we listen and we don't judge. So if you want to share about an activity that you think is failing or something that you see not working, if you want to share, I will be very happy to welcome all your insights. Who wants to share? Fatima, do you want to share? Because you're raising your hand, so. Who wants to share? Okay, maybe I can speak about an experience of an activity that already failed. For example, well, an activity that is, for example, planned to happen in a certain period, and when that timeline or when that date already come, it already was postponed or it never happened. This is an example of an activity that failed. Or another example is like when we planned many optimistic things and at the end, none of them already happened. An activity also fails when it fails to achieve its certain objectives at the end. So we may be doing workshops, but at the end, we're not achieving the objective that we at first set. Okay, we have insufficient resources. Yes, this is a very good example of what makes an activity fail, because when we do not have resources, maybe human resources or trainers or any other resources, the activity will not achieve its full potential, or it may not happen. It may not happen. Also, no coordination. This is very, very good, because when there is no coordination between the teams, it will lead for sure to the failure of the activity. Lack of knowledge, yes, for sure. The lack of knowledge when your members are not capacitated on how to plan an activity or on how to implement an activity may lead also for the project failure. Thank you all of you for your inputs. Yeah, let me see. Oh, no monitor and evaluation. Yeah, this is already very good, because if you do not have monitor and evaluation, we can't track if we're really achieving our objectives or if we're really on the good track. Okay, I'm using many terminologies, I'm using many things, objectives and many other things. And, but yeah, we will see all of this little by little, but the secret or the key to have good activity that it's not failing or a good activity is to have a good activity management. And the first thing in activity management is like, if you want to do an activity, as I already told you, like you need to have clear objectives. But if you need to have good objectives, you need at first, in the first stage, to understand why from the beginning you're having that activity. Why are you thinking of having an activity? For example, for this workshop, why are we having that workshop? Because, for example, we may lack certain knowledge or certain competencies needed for our NMO just to function properly. We need people who can do projects. We need people who can handle very good our finances. We need people who promote our activities. But if all these are lacking, our NMO may not function properly, or we may not have development in many other areas, and we can't advocate for the topics that we really want to advocate for. So this is the first thing. You may have the best plan and the best activity, but if it fails to address the need, it is useless. I will give you an example. Imagine that someone writing this activity proposal. They want to have this kind of creative thing in their garden, but actually, okay, it's amazing, it's creative, everyone loves it, but at the end, what is needed is to just have a swing so that everyone can enjoy their time. But if they will only have a sofa, it's like basically it may not work, or it's basically something that we're not expecting. So it's not the actual need or the actual thing that we want to have in the garden. So this is it. So the first thing is to understand your need in order for you to know what resources to use, in order for you to know what outcome that you want to reach with your activity. Basically, you need to start with a problem. Where is the problem? What is the problem? Who has the problem? When that problem occurred and why it is occurring. Yes, so basically all these things that, like, you can do take a screenshot of all these questions that you need to answer before starting any project or any activity, because if you fail to address all these, you will have certain things not working. Because, for example, if you do not know what is the problem, you may do an intervention that is not really helping to solve that problem. For example, we may have a problem that is lack of knowledge of medical students about, I don't know, like maybe mental health. And then we will do an intervention not to go to the medical students and to just help them like how to manage their mental health. We go to the general community, for example. So our intervention is good. It's helping solve a problem, but it is not the initial problem that we wanted to solve. The initial problem is like the number of medical students who suffer from many mental health challenges. Is it clear for everyone? If it's clear, just do a thumbs up. Or any interaction, even in the comments. Is it clear? Okay, perfect. Yes, we have 2 yeses. What about the others? Yes, 3 yeses. Awesome. What about the others? Awesome, 4 yeses. Amazing. So that you're following. Just to give you an example of a problem, for example, mental health issues in the EMR. So we specified the problem, it is mental health issues, where it's in the EMR are a significant public health concern, with a high prevalence of mental health disorders and limited access to mental health services. And according to WHO, we're given statistics to strengthen or to make our problem evidence-based. And we have the population of the EMR, which is our target population, and we're explaining why it is happening. It is happening because there are significant gaps in mental health services provision, inadequate mental health infrastructure, limited access to evidence-based treatment, and shortage of mental health professionals. So basically, you need to outline all of this, maybe in your proposal, or to make it clear in front of your document or in front of you, in order for you to have more clarity on what is the actual problem, for you to have better intervention. Amazing. And afterwards, you need to set clear objectives. Now that you know the problem, you need to set clear objectives on how to tackle that issue. For example, why do you need to set these clear objectives? Because, okay, you may have a great vision, but you will understand in a certain way, and then the project leader will understand in another way, and then the people who are gonna implement it will understand it in very other way. The PRC, when trying to implement or to maybe promote the opportunity, they will just promote it in very other way, and the beneficiaries of the intervention may receive it in very other thick way. So you need to be clear because this is your reference. to see if you maybe achieved the thing that you really want or not. You need to have all these clear objectives in front of you to be able to track and to be able to have to advance on your project in very confident way, and that you know that you really you really know what are you doing. And how to set clear objectives. There should be specific, measurable, achievable, relevant, and time-bound. So specific, it should be like your objective need to tackle exactly what you really want to do. You want to raise awareness, you, for example, increase the knowledge, or just make people just familiarize with the topic. You need, for example, to just make the issue visible, or you need people to just change their behavior, because it's really that objective really matters how you try to formulate it. It should be specific also in terms of the target population. Are you tackling with medical student? Are you addressing the challenge in medical student? Or you addressing the general population, or in women, or in girls, or in what? So you need to be very specific, measurable. So do you want to increase the knowledge of 20 or 30 or 100, or how many people you really want to maybe reach? It should be also achievable. Imagine that someone will just tell me, I want to increase the knowledge of, I don't know, 1 billion people. It's not really achievable with the actual resources that you already have. You only have a workshop in your university, or an online workshop, and that target number may be not reached with just a workshop. So it should be achievable. It should be also relevant. Relevant because it is addressing also the need that you're trying to achieve, or you're trying to solve the problem that you're trying to solve. Very sorry. And it should be time bound. For example, I want to achieve this by Monday 25th of April, for example, or by, I don't know, Monday 21st of April, I want to achieve this and this and this. So that it should be something that you can track, and something that you can maybe go afterwards and check. I did this, I didn't do that, I did this, I didn't do that. So you need to be able to just follow with your objectives. All of this that we're talking about is at the core of activity management. But activity management is not only about planning, it's not only about setting objectives, but it's also about how you kind of try to implement these things. And in order for you to have a better implementation, let me check. Okay. Okay, and in order for you to achieve all these objectives, what you really need to do is to set maybe or outline a very clear methodology. And in your methodology, you need to mention everything step by step: the major events, the timeline, the resources, the teams and organization committee. Like, everything should be well outlined. And how to do this? And if you fail, for example, to do this, you will have, for example, an unrealistic budget. For example, you may need a certain amount of money, but you're collecting a lot of money, so you're just wasting money. You may have, if you fail, for example, to track the timeline, you'll have project delays, so it will not serve very well maybe your target population, or at the current situation, it will not be very helpful. And also, if you like human resources, it's already mentioned. For human resources, if you lack resources, you will not be able to do many things, or people are not capacitated. So you need to have a good range, or a very good number of people who are interested in your projects and able to volunteer for your activity. Another thing, if you have a very bad promotion, for example, you may have the best activity in the world, but if you fail to promote it, yeah, you may not attract many people, and you may not showcase the outcomes or the thing that you already did in your activity. So PRC is very essential. Okay, I have a question in the chat, but what if project delays are not from our side? This is a very important question, because, okay, there are certain things when it comes to project delays, there are certain things like that you can do to prevent the project delays. But certain circumstances or certain crises may happen, and it's okay. But you need to prepare a plan in order for you to maximize your chances to not have all these delays. For example, it's okay like to have delays not from your side, but if you communicated very well with everyone, if you anticipated all the challenges that may come or arise, it will prevent for sure project delays. I hope that I answered all your questions. If not, please feel free to ask me again, and I will just reply to it again. Another thing is the lack of logistics. For example, you may have a very good idea, but at the end you fail to just find an accommodation. So you need to address this in the very beginning. Do not make things till the very last minutes. You need to have a plan A, plan B, plan till plan Z in order for you to tackle all these maybe crises that may happen. And this should be included in your methodology. You should have a kind of contingency plan. That the thing that we call it is like for every problem, you need to map up a solution for it and try to prevent it. And if there is a lack of team coordination, for sure it will be a disaster because everyone are not reunited for the same vision. And yeah, it will be very bad. And how to monitor all your progress. For example, for the timeline, you can have a Gantt chart. Like you will put all the tasks that you may have in your activity, and then you have that kind of a table, or you can have a sheet with this Gantt chart, and you will outline when each task needs to be completed and when it should be started. It will give you an overview and try to prevent any delays that may happen. For example, if you're having a workshop, you may think that you need to contact or try to start to contact the trainers before maybe 2 weeks or even 3 weeks before your activity. But you can also like even if you contacted one trainer, you can always have a list of any other trainers that may come to the session in case one canceled. And one of the tricks that I always do, I always like for each session, do not invite one speaker or one trainer. I try to invite 2 people to co-facilitate together. And this, in case one cannot be here, I will have the other one come in and do our session. Yes, yes, go ahead. Do you have a question? Okay. Who has a question? Leiva or Sal or who wants to go? Because you're raising your hand. Okay. Maybe I can continue, and if you want to share anything, you can tell me and open your mic. And how to track, for example, the task and responsibilities. You can have a document with all the tasks and assign for each task like a person. And you can have a status if that it is completed or it is in progress or it is pending or there is a challenge with it. And you should have like the timeline when it should be conducted and when it should be achieved, and this will help you track everything. And also it will help in the transparency and help the team know what is your status in that activity, and everyone will be knowing what are you doing right now. So it's very essential. And I sometimes, when I have a kind of a stakeholder or a partner who wants to know everything, I will share that document with them in order for them to have an overview on the progress. So they will be reassured that we're on a good track and that we're doing everything very well. So it depends on the partner, but some of the partners wants to really know the progress and the exact like progress, because they are very involved in the project. So they are partners, so they should be knowing everything. So they are not just person who are coming to just support us or give us money, but they are partner in the project from the very beginning to the very end. Another thing, you should have a budget in order to just ensure that you have financial sustainability and ensure everything is going very well, but also to estimate very well. And I believe that you already have like sessions, or you may have in the future sessions about finances. And also for sponsors, I do believe that it's essential for you to have a sheet where you note all the names and the context of each sponsor. And you can also add here kind of another column where you indicate if you contacted them or not and what is their responses. And if they refused, you can have another column where you will add the reason for refusal. So whenever each one of you wants to consult that same document, they will know why that partner refused, or why that partner, or why that sponsor, very sorry, refused to give us money. Or because some of the sponsors will say, okay, you can come back to me, for example, next month, I will be very willing to support you, but for this month, I can't do it. So if you have everything documented, it will help you for sure. And the last thing is evaluation. And if after you conducted everything, monitored everything, implemented everything, you need to evaluate the efficiency. If you used very well your resources, your human resources, your money, your logistics, and also evaluate the relevance. Was it relevant to your beneficiaries? Was it relevant to your members? And ensure if you can maybe in the future repeat that activity or not, if it's recommended or not, or you need to maybe adapt it in the future. So this is it. And afterwards, what is next? You need to document everything in order for the future generation to have everything very well documented, in order for them to learn from your experience. And also it can be shared between teams, all your documents, all the things, your budget, the challenges, and how the evaluation form, or to have a report of your activity in order for everyone to know and to learn from your experience. So it will help the whole organization, not only the OC that worked in that opportunity. So documentation is a very essential. You can have a shareable folder or drive, or have also reports very well written with the outcomes of the evaluation and with the challenge that also happened. So this is it from my side. Now it's your turn. Maybe you can tell me what are the things that you will implement from this session, and what are the things that you maybe stop doing after this session. And this is it from my side, and thank you so much. Who wants to share? Are you here?
Yes, Amal, thank you so much for such an amazing and interactive session. It's really very, very honorable to see you here in very short notice. It was very amazing. And indeed, we are so grateful to you for this amazing session.
Thank you so much. I'm very happy that maybe I could share some of my knowledge with you. And I will be very happy also if you can tell me like what are the things that you will maybe implement in the future after receiving that session, because yeah, it's really essential, because we're receiving sessions because we want to do an impact, or we want to change certain things in our animals. So I need to maybe know what are the things that you will do differently maybe in the future, or the things that you will be implementing.
Yes,
So
one thing I got from the session is that to invite multiple trainers at one time. So if someone is not available, we can coordinate with the rest of the person, and it's not a bit difficult at the last moment, even though I was facing this difficulty for today's session too. So I'm really getting that point, and I like that a lot in your presentation.
thank you so much. I'm very happy that you learned this. What about the others? Did you learn something? Okay, who wants to share? What did you learn? You can tell me that you didn't learn because yeah, 30 minutes. Okay, how to manage things. Okay, thank you so much. Basically, yes, setting goals is smart, budgeting, That's awesome. Amazing. I'm very happy that you learned all of this. And as I told you, activity management is more than just things to be covered in 30 minutes. And you can have multiple sessions tackling everything like from A to Z. And I encourage you to dive deep more into it. And I will try to share more resources with you in the drive. And I hope it can benefit you. And this is it from my side. And if you have any feedback, anything that you want to share, I'm very happy.
If anybody, yes, Fatma, you can open up your mic and say whatever you wanted to say. You just raised out your hand. Fatma, are you here? Okay, if somebody is having any question, you people can ask up, and if no one question, then we can end up our meeting here. And we are so honored, and we are again thankful to Amal for giving such an amazing session. It's really informative and wonderful one. Thank you so much. Looking forward to see you in next sessions as well, because we love your session. And one compliment is that the slides are really very colorful and very amazing. So thank you. Thank you everyone for joining. Yes.
Thank you so much, everyone. And for sure, do not hesitate to contact me anytime. And I will share my contact with you here. Okay, I'll share my number so that you can contact me anytime on WhatsApp.
I'll share the contact with WhatsApp later. Thank you, Amal. Thank you so much. And
okay, I will share my personal email here so that you can reach out freely to me.
Amazing. You guys can coordinate with Amal for learning stuff.
Okay, so thank you so much, everyone, for attending and for being patient. And I'm very sure that you learned from all the speakers and all the facilitators. And yeah, I attended some of the session and they were actually very amazing. And yeah, thank you so much for this opportunity. And I can't wait to see you in future ones.
Thank
you
you.
so much.
Goodbye, everyone, for today's meeting. Now we are ending it here. Looking forward to seeing you all tomorrow. Thank you. Bye bye. Just open up your mic and say goodbye.
Okay, Allah Hafiz. Thank you so much.
Bye.
Have a nice
Bye.
Bye.
Bye. Allah Hafiz.